Hi, I'm Guy. I'm a professional waterman from the sunny town of Exmouth here in the UK. So the wing foiling kind of come around, I guess, about a couple of years ago. I've been kite surfing for quite a long time before that, and kite foiling, and wing foiling just seemed like the new thing. And it was the craze, and I guess it was the craze in Hawaii, and it kind of filtered through, and everyone's seen it, and then kind of come to market. And being part of the shop here, we kind of got into it quite early. So I just saw it as something that I could potentially catch more waves on than I would be able to surf well, get more of the fun stuff with winging. So yeah, that was the big kind of drive for that. So I've been wing foiling for a couple of years, and then the downwinding kind of come around, which was kind of the progression onto a lot of the fun stuff that we all enjoy doing, riding the swells and the waves and stuff. But it looked like you had even more of that, or more of the fun stuff all at once. So yeah, and just with the gear evolving so much over the time and everything getting pushed, became a lot easier. I probably tried it 4 or 5 years ago on these big wide boards and quite stubby, and just being able to take off on those was really tricky. So I kind of took a break from trying to downwind for probably a couple of years before I saw the thin pointy downwind boards, and I was like, oh, that looks achievable again, and I still love to do that. And I kind of saw the possibilities here in the UK, on our kind of doorstep and where we are here in Exmouth, to be able to do that quite regularly. That was the progression, and yeah, from there it's just evolved. And yeah, the AFS gear, which has pushed me to the next level, and yeah, it's been great, like seeing the sport evolve in the UK. It's hard to put into kind of perspective on the most memorable session, as yeah, I'd say across all the disciplines there's loads of fun to be had where we are here in Exmouth. We're located in the river mouth here, so the tide comes in and out so quickly every day, which kind of opens up a constantly changing playground. So we may, when the first couple of hours of the tide going out, we get this great wind against tide effect, so we can kind of ride in one position, just like in the bumps, and it's great on the downwind board. And then towards high tide, we can often surf foil, and then around all the time, we can wing foil. I guess what's kind of been really memorable the last year or so is doing these more long downwind runs. So I've done like a few 40k. We've done a 40k run, a couple of 20-kilometer runs just out front, which is something that I kind of never really seen before, and it's cool to kind of unlock that, and that kind of stays with you, because that's it's quite a big event, and you're kind of, the downwinding's so much like, you often do it as a couple of people, so it's a bit of a social, and when it's like a sense of achievement you don't really get with the other sports, I feel, when you actually complete a run that you might not have never done, but you've kind of looked at the weather and looked at the conditions, and kind of you're out in the middle of it, and then you've kind of made it in the end, and you're like, wow, that was pretty amazing to have actually achieved that just in the ocean without any kind of wind power. So I think that's been pretty memorable, and I feel like that will kind of live with you for quite a while. So becoming a professional rider in the UK, you have to kind of get through quite a lot of challenges to reach that point, especially with the weather we have here. We've got, we're in the winter right now, and you've got light until 4:30, and involving school and work, that kind of balance to try and reach the levels that you can do in your own riding. So just trying to fit in those little windows here and there where you can, and kind of making the most of any potential travel outside of the summer. In the winter we've got good storm conditions, so there's plenty of riding to be done, but you just got to be pretty tough and on it when you can. With the foils evolving and all the gear basically, and you've not just got foils, you've got downwind boards, you've got surfboards, you've got mid-lengths now, you've got wing foil kit that you can now go out in 8 knots and have fun and stuff. It's just pretty amazing what you can do in not much conditions, really. I kind of started working with AFS over the last 6 months more closely. In the past, I'd ridden some of Laurent, the designer of AFS Tubicals foils, and I'd kind of seen what Chipre was doing on the latest AFS foils that he'd been riding, and I thought that was something that really like caught my eye, and was like, that potentially could be the style that I would love to go and ride, and those foils looked like the one to help me push my personal riding. Yeah, first of all, I kind of bought a foil just because I really wanted to have a go on it, and I really wanted to try it, and it looked like the bee's knees. So yeah, that was a great kind of experience. And then probably like 6 months ago, I had the opportunity to kind of become kind of like an ambassador team rider for AFS, which was awesome, to be honest. It was like it was great to kind of work more closely with the brand and see it and help develop, hopefully in the future, some foils with the guys in France and Laurent. And so yeah, that was really cool. And so I think the main thing I like about the AFS foils is how well they're built. I feel like they're not just light, but they're strong as well. The masts feel great, they're really stiff. The foil connections are all super solid, and they just generally turn really well. That's the main enjoyment I get out of the sport. So the carving ability on most of, especially Laurent's foils, is pretty insane. And I think mostly it's all about the ease of use, which the Tubicals kind of like you gain from the Tubicals. It's just like the stool is so much more manageable than a normal foil. Which really helps, I find, through lots of these disciplines. So that's the main reasons, really. The carving is kind of the main thing, which I think's pushed by AFS, and I find that quite like a lot of the enjoyment of the sport out of that. Looking at the line of AFS gear at the moment, there's so many different foils and boards across the line that I've kind of had the pleasure of using over time. A couple, I'd say the Downwind board would be the one. That's like the Blackbird's a pretty awesome board. For anyone looking to Downwind, I wouldn't look past that board. The Chipre 4.4's been big for me as well. Like, I've used that so much, and I find I really enjoy the shape and the design. The Silk 850 and 650 have been great, been my kind of go-to for the last year or so for winging and surf foil. But now I can see the 700 and the 900 Enduro being pretty like a great part, just extra glide and like amazing carving, and the wingtips are pretty mental coming out the water. I think the first foil you'll ever ride, you've just got to make sure it's big enough to make you fly. So yeah, just having something that works well, is tried and tested, it's really important. So I wouldn't go anything bigger than, well, depending on your weight obviously, but around the 1500 square cm mark in terms of area tends to be a good starting point. The best advice would be to contact your local shop or people that are like professional in the game. You know, it's quite daunting, but having someone who will kind of like tell you about your area where you might be doing the sports is really critical, especially because we're here in like this estuary where like parts of the tidal sequence it will be 5 knots of current. So having like someone that can tell you this is when you need to go on the water, this is the wind conditions you're looking for, this is potentially the gear that you need, is really critical, and that kind of eases you into it, and you can always lay back on that. And then just coming down to the beach and watching people is also great. I think people don't do enough of that once they're getting into a sport. If you can see what other people are doing, like, I think that's pretty beneficial to improving. I think performance and enjoyment kind of come together. It's not like something, I feel like my style of riding, I'm not going out there to like, I'm just really trying to enjoy myself, because often you're not doing it on your own, you're doing it with people. So like the social element, like you come to really enjoy, I think. It's not just like really enjoying it like as yourself. I think a lot of the enjoyment comes with doing it with your friends and people who you like to ride with. So I think that's a big part of it. So I think the main part of what kind of all bonds us together is the collaborative stoke that we all share for this one great sport. My personal goals more linked back to kind of evolving the sports. That's what I'd love to be in a position where I could help evolve the different aspects of the sport. I'd also quite enjoy to get like more into the downwind racing where I can. I see that kind of part of the sport from coming from a kite racing background as was somewhere that I might be able to dabble in the future, and from like progressing and using a lot of like the more high aspect AFS foils of recent, I've kind of find myself like quite enjoying that, and like the speed is getting there back towards that, but you're using this like quite large board, and it's just like it's quite pure, like you're not getting pulled by anything, it's just you, it's your body, it's whatever. So in the future I'd love to do a few races of that where I'd be able to. So it'd be great in the future if I could potentially help grow these sports, or help to kind of influence people to get into them, or potentially take up a new sport if people have been winging for a long time and they see like something potentially I've done or anyone else has done of downwinding, and they think, oh, I want to give that a shot, because that'd be really cool, and to see the community grow within these different sports, if it's winging, surf foiling, downwinding, that would be really cool to be like a part of people's journeys into these sports.